Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of Inside Pima County with Supervisor Rex Scott. I am Supervisor Rex Scott, and we are really pleased to have with us today Michelle Simon, who is the director of our Office of Digital Inclusion. Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for letting me join you. I appreciate it.
You got it. You got it. And I know that this is a relatively new office, but you are not new to Pima County. Could you give us some sense of your background and how you ended up as the director of this office?
Absolutely. You're right. I've been with Pima County. This year will be 16 years. I have background in workforce and economic development, nonprofit administration, public administration. I was a network and database administrator. Probably that was the year before I started working at Pima County. It's an interesting story how I came to be here. I started as a library program instructor, working part-time at our public library, teaching people how to use computers. It's funny how life comes full circle. And I worked my way through the library and became the deputy director of support services for Pima County Public Library, which was a phenomenal job. And it is because of that position that our Office of Digital Inclusion and all the work that is happening with Connect Pima and us reaching out to the community is in play. So I'm very excited about how that's coming together, and our efforts there resulted in us getting a grant and the Office of Digital Inclusion being established in 2023.
So you really had a professional journey before and during your service to Pima County that made you an ideal candidate for this position. Tell us about the Office of Digital Inclusion, what its responsibilities are, and why it was formed by the county administrator.
Absolutely. The Office of Digital Inclusion really is the driver of the strategic efforts behind making sure that all of the county residents have access to high-speed, affordable internet, devices that they can use to connect to that internet, and that they understand how to use it safely. So it is a large effort that really is tied into our economic development plan, our prosperity initiative, even our land management plans and efforts. Because it's not just about building broadband infrastructure, it's making sure that our communities, particularly those that are in the rural and remote areas of Pima County, have the same opportunity to access. And so that is really what our office does. We focus on making sure that those three things happen. And this year we're placing a very big focus.
Say those three things.
Oh,
so
the
we
three
can
things.
Keep them.
Absolutely.
We can keep them at the forefront of our conversation.
Yeah. So developing and expanding broadband infrastructure into the community.
Okay.
Implementing digital literacy initiatives and supporting our community members with learning how to use computers, and then making sure that they have access to the devices and tools that they need to be successful in using the internet based on whatever it is that they want to do. We have added to our efforts a co-governance piece, so making sure that community members have input into the activities that we undertake in the community. So we're looking forward to the next year of making sure that engagement happens.
And there were some efforts at the federal level that were supported at the state and local level to ensure access to high-speed, affordable internet that were also the impetus for creating this office.
That's correct. So, a lot of things happened because of COVID-19. And at that time, I was the deputy director of the library, and we really had to focus on helping people get access to the internet. During 2020, there was a period of time when our libraries were closed and people were attempting to use the internet in our parking lot. And so the federal government really was pushing out a lot of money towards making sure people were connected.
Okay.
So the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act provided a significant amount of funding to a variety of projects and programs around broadband access. So we work together with our municipality, internet service providers, local stakeholders to apply to the Enabling Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure Grant Program. And that program was funded federally through the Department of Commerce and the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And we were one of 39 awards that were issued as part of that grant program. And we received $30.3 million from the Fed to build a 134-mile fiber optic ring around Pima County's urban core.
I remember when we were awarded that grant because I was the vice chair of the board at the time, and the chair could not come to the announcement. So I stood in for her. And I remember that not only was the county represented there, but so were the towns of Oro Valley and Sahuarita.
So when we pulled together the grant application, we made sure that all of our municipalities were partners in that effort, because we are literally going through every jurisdiction with the route that has been planned for this middle mile project. And the reason that it is so large and so expansive is so that we can reach rural areas that internet service providers might not build out to, because maybe there's low housing density or it's just too expensive for them to build it.
So let's key in on the middle mile project, because I would imagine on any given day, dealing with middle mile is a big focus of your work, and tie into that an acronym known as BEAD, and how that works in with the middle mile project.
Absolutely. So BEAD is one of those programs that I talked about with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Okay. And so BEAD stands for Broadband Equity Access Deployment.
Okay.
So it's a lot of stuff to basically say it's the federal government's funding for the fiber to the home or fiber to the premise part of building out internet. Our project, the Middle Mile Project, is the backbone to that internet.
Got it.
So we don't build internet to people's houses. We build the part that connects the internet to an internet service provider so they can reach people's homes.
And why is it called the Middle Mile Project?
Because that's literally how the industry calls it. They have middle mile, so it's that bridge between the internet and the final mile, which is that fiber to the premise or fiber to the home
which
part.
Is done by the internet service providers. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So in terms of the route, if you will, for the middle mile in Pima County, sketch that out for us.
All right, I'll start at the north part of things.
Okay.
So it's Marana. So think town of Marana. It goes all the way across Tangerine, over into Oro Valley, down La Cañada, out Sunrise, out into Tinca Verde, all the way down Old Spanish Trail into Vail, and then it follows across I-10 to Highway 83 and down to Sahuarita Road, back west to Wilmot, up to Valencia, west on Valencia, all the way out to Ryan Airfield, and then up Sandaria Road back to Marina.
So those of you who are on YouTube can attest to this, that Michelle just went through that route without any notes. If you're listening to this on a podcast, I can attest to that. She just described that entire route without a single note in front of her.
Thank you so much. You know, it's exciting. That route, it's not just, I don't want anybody to think, oh, the route's just around the city of Tucson, because it is not. Right? It is through all of our municipalities, and it needed to reach that far because from any point on the middle mile route, an internet service provider can actually reach 25 miles.
Wow.
So that route will cover everything inside, which is all of our municipalities, but it will also cover things to the outside. So things Picture Rock and Abra Valley, it actually reaches up into Canal County, to the southeast to Cochise County, even down into Santa Cruz County, and more than a third of the Tohono Nation.
My goodness.
So it is a lot of coverage for what we are putting in. And really, this is a phenomenal investment, not only on the Fed's part, but on the part of Pima County, making sure that people have access and are able to really get connected to the essential services that they need, because you can probably talk to any other constituents that live near county or the northern parts of Montana, and they will talk to you about how their internet is spotty or how they're paying a lot for a little.
No question. And as you said, COVID changed a lot of people's minds and priorities when it comes to internet access. And as somebody who worked in our schools before I ran for the board, I had retired from education before the pandemic started, but I was hearing from my daughter and my wife, who were still teachers, and friends who were still working in schools, about kids who had to drive with their parents and sit in the parking lots of libraries or other areas that had internet access, just so they could do their lessons and have instruction.
And I will tell you, those stories, those are very true for the city of Tucson, or I shouldn't just say Tucson, for Pima County as a whole. And our libraries, we have 27 locations across the library, across the county, and it was very helpful. But at that time, we weren't being intentional about making sure that the internet was outside. It just happened to bleed through the building. So that's why people would sit in the parking lot when we were closed, so that they could do that work. And as a result of that, we did become very intentional. And part of that effort is our Hotspots Around Town project that we implemented. So through the public library, we have turned on 120 hotspots in the community, in places where people gather. So it might be the parking lot of libraries, it might be at our community centers and parks. They're at our local Boys and Girls Club outside. And so it makes it possible for people to have free Wi-Fi in the community. They can go up and down Broadway. You'll see these blue and white signs that say free Wi-Fi. And that is part of that project. And so we wanted to make sure that people could get access wherever they might be. And that was the start of our effort to really mobilize and make sure that people had access throughout the county.
And there's another project that doubtless takes up a significant amount of your time, along with Middle Mile, and that's Connect Pima. How are those two projects different, and how do they support each other?
So Connect Pima is actually our strategic plan.
Okay.
So the Office of Digital Inclusion is the place where we sit, right? The place where we do all the work from. But Connect Pima is exactly what it says. We're working on that plan to make sure that everybody in Pima County is connected. And so, like right now, on our webpage, you can go and look at the strategic plan, and we're actually looking for public comment through the end of next week to make any final edit to what has been proposed as part of the strategic plan. And I'm really excited about that plan. I'm really excited about the fact that we're able to work with our community members, and that we're able to work with the community advisory board that we have to drive our efforts in a way that benefits everyone. I'm a true believer in nothing for us without us. So I definitely want to hear from people. And it's okay if people are upset about their internet coverage. I need to know that.
Sure.
And that's also part of the reason that with our strategic plan, we applied to the USDA Rural Utility Service for a broadband technical assistance grant, and we received just over $400,000 so that we could do a broadband gap feasibility study for our rural and remote areas of Pima County and Santa Cruz County. Because I'm also a true believer that we need to be good neighbors. And how do we work together to make sure everyone has the opportunities that they need to be successful?
In terms of being not just a good neighbor, but also furthering that philosophy that you see practiced throughout the county in all of our departments, that there's no wrong door that you can enter in terms of finding out what the county can provide to you and your family. Talk to us about what digital navigators on your team are responsible for and how they further that no wrong door philosophy.
That's a great point, because we have people come to the office. Our staff, they're phenomenal. They do one-on-one appointments with people, have people come, or we go to them. We'll meet people in the community and really talk to them about what are their needs. Of course, our first three things that we're trying to find out: do you have internet at home? If you don't, then we make sure you get that. Do you have a computer? And do you know how to use it? Because we want people to be safe online. And so we make sure about that. But in those conversations, we find out that they need other resources. It might be job help. It might be that they need food. They might have a health issue. So our goal is always to do a warm handoff.
That's great.
So we might call the community resource navigator from our one-stop office and have them literally talk to the person in that moment or help them set up an appointment. We'll do the same thing with the health department, the community food bank. So we make sure that when they leave us, it's with someone that they have already talked to versus, here's a card, good luck, right? Because we don't want people to get lost. And I think that it really speaks to that no wrong door you were talking about, because if they start with us, they might end up at one stop or getting essential services that they need through the EELS program or the community action team, right? And so I really am very proud of our staff for making sure that people get connected to the resources.
And as we were discussing it really is an overarching philosophy.
Yep.
And we've heard it espoused a number of times on these podcasts by some of your colleagues who lead our other departments. But your office was recognized as a visionary digital inclusion trailblazer. Talk a little bit about that program and how it distinguishes your department from some of its counterparts around the country.
Absolutely. So the National Digital Inclusion Alliance is the national advocacy group for digital inclusion.
Okay.
Making sure that people have access to what they need to participate. Our world is very much online, and there are very many people that cannot participate because they don't have what they need. And so at this national level, they provide resources, advocacy, training, all of those kinds of things, and they do an award program every year. And you have to qualify. That means for us, our county government has to back up what they're saying. Do you have staff? Do you have money? Do you have a strategic plan? Are you doing partnerships? Do you have a coalition? Are you really paying attention to the work of digital inclusion, or are you just saying you're doing it? Are you walking the walk? And so our office, the very first year out of the gate in 2023, we received that digital inclusion, Visionary Digital Inclusion Trailblazer Award. So it was for the 2024 year, and then we just received one for 2025.
Why do you think coming right out of the gate that you already got that recognition?
I truly believe, a little fun fact, Pima County is the first county in the state of Arizona to have an Office of Digital Inclusion.
No, I did not know that at all.
And they are also one of the very first counties. Maricopa County may have beat us, but I don't think so. To have our own digital equity plan, digital inclusion plan, that Connect Pima plan.
Okay.
We created that in 2023. our stuff aligns very much with what the state did for their digital equity plan. But why did we get the award that we got? Because we collaborated with others. Our work very much relies on collaboration, not only with our municipalities, but our local community-based organizations, as well as internet service providers. You have to make sure that they're at the table
Sure.
because they're providing the service that we're hoping can be affordable and at the right speeds for people. So I feel like because we put forward that effort to make sure that everyone was at the table, and we train every year community-based organizations and those internet service providers on best practices related to digital inclusion. I think that's what made the biggest difference.
So let's go back to those 3 areas of focus for your department. Would like you to restate them, and also if there's anything that we haven't touched on in any of those 3 areas of focus, would invite you to talk about what we haven't covered yet.
Absolutely. So 3 areas of focus: infrastructure, deploying and expanding broadband internet access throughout the county, digital literacy or digital skill building initiatives. And that's not my office doing everything. That's us working with our community-based organization
Right.
to implement robust support for learning how to use a computer, however it is that they need to, whether it's basic skills or upskilling for a job or
Right.
whatever they're trying to do. And then access to devices and tools.
Okay.
And the reason I say devices and tools, handing someone a computer, it needs to be the computer that works for them. So we identify if someone needs accessibility tools to be able to function better on a computer, or if it needs to be a different type of computer, we also help with that. And we make sure that they get the appropriate training to use any of the tools that are on the computer to be able to use it successfully. So it's those 3 things. And then again, I mentioned the co-governance piece, making sure that we are working with community members to drive how we implement. Sorry.
No, you're fine. We're making you talk a lot.
That's okay. That's okay. I think I might have missed something, but anyway.
No, what I wanted to circle back to is, was there anything in either of those 3 areas of focus that we haven't talked about today?
I think for us, we have we're doing a great job in the deployment of the infrastructure, right? We've got the middle mile project, we've got the hotspots around town, we're doing the broadband gap and feasibility study. So it's really going to give us a roadmap on how we need to develop things going forward. Digital literacy initiatives, we're working really well with the community on that, and really trying to figure out how to get devices in the hands of people
Right.
who need them. So that's kind of the part that we're working on the most. But things that are happening really kind of at the federal level, particularly with that BEAD project that you talked about, it's very concerning. Not that things won't be deployed, but when certain requirements are made, it pushes providers out, it prices them out of the ability to provide the services that they're hoping to. And in Pima County, we have 5 project areas, and 2 of the project areas have technically been given to one provider that, with changes in regulation, they may not be able to meet those needs.
Wow.
Right. So when that happens, that federal funding now goes to waste, so to speak. It's not being spent on what it was intended for. It's just sitting there. And so now Pima County doesn't benefit. And so we need to make sure that from an advocacy perspective that we are really talking to our legislators, that we are really saying, look, broadband is important and we need to make sure that we are supporting it in the right way and not just making arbitrary decisions about regulation.
Sounds like so many things that we get concerned with at the local level is we know the on-the-ground needs of our constituents, but sometimes there are cookie cutter decisions made at a higher level of government that don't take into account our input.
Absolutely. And we have to use our voice, right? We
Sure.
have to be those citizens that tell people, hey, this is what you need to be championing the cause for. And if there is a public comment period, making sure that you're giving your comments about things. And so I think that's the part that I've been working on a lot lately, and trying to communicate that value to our local stakeholders so that they know, oh, okay, I need to be talking about this thing.
I'm delighted that you are in this role, not only because of your knowledge, but your obvious passion for the work. Anything to sum up that you wanted to say to our listeners, perhaps on a topic that we didn't talk about during this conversation?
I will just make a plug for the office, because
right.
people are always like, well, how do we know, or what do we do? Okay, our focus is on making sure people get connected in the way that they want to. So that oftentimes means that they don't have access to the internet. So we just want people to call us. Give us a call, 724-7695, and we will help anybody get the support that they need. Okay, so our services are not just for a certain group of people. They're for every Pima County constituent. So we want people to give us a call, because we'll connect them to the right thing. If they're unsure, they need help with their phone, they need help with their computer, or they just need to find a place where they can get some technical support, we will help them. So
all about ensuring and expanding access. So be in touch with the Office of Digital Inclusion and its wonderful leader, Michelle Simon, if y'all need anything. And thanks so much for tuning in.